Good morning. Welcome to ICSE Geography Class 10. Today's class is about conventional colors, conventional signs and symbols, which is a part of lesson number 1, Interpretation of Topographical Maps, Part 1. In this video, we will study from page number 16 to page number 22. The objectives of today's class are to study the conventional colors and their importance, and to study conventional signs and symbols used in maps and topo sheets and their meanings with identifications. A large number of conventional colors and conventional signs and symbols are used in topographical maps. So we need to know that what are topographical maps. Topographical maps or topo sheets are large-scale maps that show natural features like mountains, plains, streams and rivers, natural vegetation, etc. and man-made features like temples, roads, railways, wells, tube wells, etc. For studying a topographical map, one has to be familiar with the colors and symbols used in topographical maps. Means the signs and symbols are very useful in map reading. The colors used in topographical maps are called conventional colors, as they are accepted all over the world. The symbols or signs used in topographical maps are called conventional symbols or conventional signs, as they are accepted all over the world, or we can say that they are universally accepted. The Survey of India (SOI) have standardized a set of conventional signs and symbols to be used in topographical maps. Here, let me tell you that the Survey of India, which is located in Dehradun, is the oldest scientific department of India. The Survey of India is India's central engineering agency in charge of mapping and surveying. It was set up in 1767 to help consolidate the territories of the British East India Company. Here I must mention that Major James Randall was appointed as the first Surveyor General of India in 1767. Sir George Everest, on whose name Mount Everest, the highest peak of the world, has been named, was the most famous Surveyor General of India. The main work of the Survey of India is to demarcate the state, national and international boundaries, mapping of topography, making maps for urban planning and defense, development and production of political and physical map, to make the aeronautical charts, and to do research and development in the field of map making, printing, etc. Now children, let us start the topic of the day. First of all, we will discuss the conventional colors used in the topographical maps. 7 colors are commonly used in the maps of Survey of India. They are black, brown, blue, red, yellow, green and white. In the topographical maps, black color is used for writing the name of towns and villages, the means of communication, the river banks, broken ground, dry streams, surveyed trees, heights and their numbering, railway lines, telephone line, the national and international boundaries, etc. Brown color is used to show the contour lines, their numbering, form lines, sand features like sand dunes, and barren rocky areas such as hills, etc. Blue color is used to show water features or water bodies like rivers, lakes, ponds, tanks, wells, etc. Green color is used for wooded and forested areas, orchards, scattered trees and shrubs, whereas yellow color is used to show the cultivable land or the cultivated areas. And red color is used to show the monuments and buildings, the means of transport like metal road, unmetal road, cart tracks, etc. So children, for drawing the conventional signs and symbols, you will need all these colors. Now, all of you open your book at page number 16. We will read the importance of colors in topographical maps. For studying our topographical maps or sheet, one has to be familiar with colors used in topo sheet. These colors are called conventional colors as they are accepted all over the world. The conventional symbols are given in these colors are representing particular features. For example, yellow cultivable land, green forest area, white rocky area or badland, hence uncultivable. Blue perennial lined wells, perennial streams, lakes and ponds. Brown contour lines and their heights. Black all dry streams and surveyed trees. Red permanent huts. Now let us read the next para. Significance of conventional signs and symbols. A variety of features, both natural and man-made, are depicted with the help of symbols on the topographical sheet. These are called conventional signs and are accepted universally. They are used in the Survey of India maps. The conventional signs help in giving maximum information about a place or area. Children, a list of conventional signs and symbols are given in your book from page number 18 to page number 22. We will discuss all these symbols with their meaning and how to identify them in the topo sheet. It is an important part of the map reading. Now, all of you need to take out your copy and colors for drawing the conventional signs and symbols which we will discuss in today's class. Now children, let us start today's topic, conventional signs and symbol. First of all, we will discuss and draw the symbol of settlements. First we have permanent settlement. Permanent settlement or permanent huts are shown in red squares like this. We can either draw squares or rectangles for permanent settlements, but these rectangles or squares should be filled with red color. So here is the first symbol of permanent huts. Now what do you mean by permanent huts? Permanent huts are the houses in which we live in. Like our houses are known as permanent huts. Next symbol we have temporary huts. Temporary huts are shown in empty red squares or empty red rectangles means we don't fill color inside this squares or rectangles. The examples of temporary huts are hotels, dhabas, shops, hospitals, schools, colleges, banks, etc., where we go for some time but we don't stay there permanently. So we can visit these places for a short time. Next we have deserted towns. Deserted towns are shown with two lines crossing each other like this. You can say it is like the symbol X, alphabet X. So they are crossing each other. So what are deserted towns? Deserted towns are the towns which are abandoned by people. People, they used to live in such towns, but due to some problem, it can be any natural problem, it can be man-made problem, people have left that town, they have deserted the town. It can be due to flood, drought, some cyclones, earthquake, volcanic eruption. It can be any of these. Next we have types of settlements. The first type of settlement is nucleated settlement. It is also called as compact settlement. So the symbol of nucleated settlement is like this. We draw the settlements close to each other like this. So nucleated settlement means the settlement where the houses are built close to each other. Mostly nucleated settlement is developed around some nucleus. The nucleus can be any market, any hospital, temple, like we have Golden Temple. Around Golden Temple we have many houses built in cluster. Even shops are also built around it. So nucleated settlement means the settlement in which the houses are built close to each other. Next we have linear settlement. Linear, the word means line. When the settlements are built along a road, for a road I am showing a red line. So when the houses are built on both sides of a road, or it can be a river also, sometimes houses are built along the river bank. So such settlement is termed as linear settlement. We can take the example of the settlements along GT Road in Amritsar for linear settlement. Along the GT Road we have many houses, schools, hospitals, shops, etc. So this is a symbol of linear settlement along a road. The third type of settlement is dispersed or scattered. Dispersed or scattered settlement means a settlement where the houses are built far away from each other. For this we'll draw the red squares far away from each other like this. So what do you mean by dispersed or scattered settlement? It means that the settlement in which the houses are built far away from each other. We can see such settlement in the mountainous area, deserts, and even the border areas. So the three types of settlements are nucleated settlement, linear settlement, dispersed or scattered settlement, and these are the symbols. Next we'll draw the symbols of monuments and buildings. For monuments and buildings we will use red color. The first monument Here is fort. A fort is drawn in this way. First we take a straight line, then we take a curve, again straight line, a curve, straight line, a curve, straight line, and it will end at a curve. So this is a symbol for fort. A fort is a strong building or a place with a wall or fence around it where soldiers can stay and be safe from the enemy. For example, we have the Red Fort of New Delhi. The next symbol is mandir or temple. Mandir or temple is a religious place for Hindus. It is a place of worship for Hindus. For drawing a mandir or temple, you will draw two parallel lines, parallel vertical lines, then one horizontal line showing the base, again parallel to it the other horizontal line showing the ceiling or the roof. Then we have the dome shaped structure at the top, and there is a flag and a door like this. So this is the symbol of a temple. Presence of many temples in a map shows that the people, they follow the Hindu religion. The next symbol we have is of Chhatri. For drawing a Chhatri, again we'll have two vertical parallel lines, one horizontal line at the base, one at the ceiling, and then a dome at the top. The difference between the temple and a Chhatri is that in a Chhatri we don't have any door or any flag. Now, what is a Chhatri? A Chhatri is an elevated dome shaped structure. Actually, Chhatri means canopy or umbrella. In Rajasthan, you can see many Chhatri. They are the building or the tomb of Rajput kings. The next symbol which we are going to draw is of a tomb. For tomb, the symbol, it will resemble like the symbol of Chhatri. First you will draw vertical double lines, or you can say parallel lines. Then we have the base lines. Its ceiling will be enclosed between the vertical lines. It will not go out, and it will have a dome shape top. So this is the symbol for a tomb. Now what is a tomb? Tomb, it is a monument built in the memory of a dead person. It is erected over the burial place. For example, we have Taj Mahal, which is a tomb of Mumtaz Mahal and Shah Jahan. Now, the last symbol from the category of monuments and buildings are the graves. For graves, we will use black color. They are shown like this. So they are in black color. Grave is a place where a dead grave is a place where a dead grave is a place where grave is a place where dead person or dead people are buried, mainly when under the ground and are marked by a stone. So children, these are the symbols of monuments and buildings: fort, mandir or temple, chhatri, tomb and graves. Go on learning all these symbols with their meaning side by side. Next, we have the symbols for means of communication. The first means of communication is post office. We have to use black color for all means of communication. For post office, the symbol is P O. You can say that we use abbreviation PO. Then we have telegraph office. It is written as or shown as TO. Next we have telegraph lines. For telegraph lines, we draw black dots. One black dot is followed by two small dots. Then again one black dot, two small dots, again. In place of dots, we can take small squares also. So here in close up, you can see that one big dot is followed by two small dots, or we can say one big square is followed by two small squares. Next is post and telegraph office. It is shown as P T O in black color. Next means of communication is police station. We can communicate any crime to the police station. It is shown as P S. Next is Dak Bungalow. Dak Bungalow is also known as Travelers Bungalow. The symbol for Dak Bungalow is DB. Dak bungalows are the large post offices of the olden time. Next is inspection bungalow. It is shown by the symbol IB. Next, rest house. It is shown as RH. Circuit house is shown by the symbol CH. And last means of communication is railway station. It is shown in the map as RS. So, these are the important means of communication used in the maps with their symbols. Now, we will discuss the symbols of political boundaries. For drawing political boundaries, we will use black color. All political boundaries will be shown in black color. For drawing the political boundaries, we will use either lines, they will be broken, or dots, or combination of broken lines and dots. Now, first we have international boundary. For drawing international boundary, first we will take a broken line which will be thick. The thickness should be more, followed by a dot, again a broken line, followed by a dot, broken line and a dot. But you can see that these lines and dots are dense, they are thick. Now for state boundaries, the symbol will be same, but the thickness of the line and dots will be less than international boundary. For a state boundary, a line will be followed by one dot, again line, dot, line and dot, and so on. This is the symbol of state boundary. Demarcated means the boundary is well demarcated by wiring. Now next we have state boundary undemarcated. Means here the boundary between two states is open, there is no wiring and no demarcation. So it is shown like broken line, or you can say dash, then a cross, again dash, cross, dash, cross, and so on. Next we have district boundary. District boundary is shown with a series of broken line or dash like this. So there is no use of dots here, only broken lines are taken. Next we have Tehsil boundary or Taluka boundary. Tehsil is a subdivision of district. For it we'll use dotted black line like this. Next we'll draw the symbol for forest boundary. Forest boundary is also shown with dotted line, but here first we'll draw two dots close to each other, then we'll leave a big gap, again two dots, again a big gap, again two dots, then gap and two dots. So this is the boundary of forest. Next we have the village tri-junctions. Village tri-junction means it is a place where the borders of three villages are meeting. So it is shown with three lines which are touching each other like this. They will not intersect, they will just touch from one part. So this is the symbol of village tri-junction. Now children, next we'll discuss the means of transport. The means of transport are shown in red color. First we will draw the symbol of metal road. For a metal road we will draw parallel lines. For a metal road we will draw parallel lines like this. So the parallel lines sometimes are very closely drawn, or they are drawn the parallel lines are drawn very close to each other, but sometimes we leave gap in between them. Now what do you mean by metal road? Metal road is a road made of concrete and tar. Tar is actually a product of coal which makes the road very hard, and it can be used throughout the year, means it will become a all weather road. Sometimes with a metal road a number is written like 10 or 20, or it can be any number. Now what does this number indicate? It means that the next destination is 10 km away from this point, means it is a milestone or distance stone. You might have seen it along the roads. Now next we have unmetal road. For unmetal road we draw parallel lines, but the lines are broken parallel lines. So you will draw broken lines like this, or you can say they are dashes in red color, and parallel to it will take the second line like this. On metal road are the kacha road, which are not properly cemented or concreted. They are used only in the dry period. They become very muddy and slippery in the rainy season, so they are not used in rainy season. In India about 50% roads are unmetalled. They are mostly found in the villages. Next we have cart track. A cart track is a track or road used by the bullock carts or horse carts. So they are also seen mostly in the villages, and the symbol is single red line like this. So this is a cart track. It also shows that the place is rural or it is a village area. Now next we have pack track. Pack track is a path which is made by the continuous movement of the animals which move to the forest or to other areas for grazing. So when they move, a path is made which is called as pack track, and the symbol is broken red line. So it is broken red line like this. Next we have footpath. Footpath is made by the continuous movement of people in the forest area, in the mountainous area, or in the fields. So for footpath, the symbol is dotted red line like this. They are also found mostly in the villages or in the mountainous area, like when we go to some religious place, like we go to Vaishno Devi, we move on foot, or on the way we can see many footpaths are found. Next symbol is causeway. Causeway is a raised platform across a stream. So for drawing the symbol of a causeway, first we'll draw a stream in black color. Why we are taking black color here? Because we are taking a seasonal stream, because causeways are made over a seasonal stream. So we'll draw a river like this in black color, and then we'll draw a road over it with red color. So this is the point of causeway here. Okay, so it is a raised platform. It is not a bridge. It is a raised platform. Means we fill the river with mud or pebbles, and a temporary path is made for trade or for moving from one place to another place across the river. During rainy season, when the river is filled with water, causeway disappear. So it is a temporary path. Now, under the category of the means of transport, we have railways. So let us draw the symbols of railways. First, we'll draw the symbol for broad gauge. For this, we'll use black color. We'll draw two parallel lines in black like this. Then we'll divide these two lines into segments like this, and then we'll shade this in black and white. Like the first part is shaded in black, the second part we'll leave empty, the third part is again shaded in black, next again shading in black. So this is broad gauge railway line. Here the big trains like Rajdhani, Shatabdi, they run. Next we have meter gauge. For meter gauge, the symbol is black parallel lines, same as we have drawn for broad gauge. First we'll draw parallel lines, then we'll draw vertical lines cutting these two parallel lines, and the vertical lines will be parallel to each other. Means two lines will draw close, then a big gap, again two parallel vertical lines, again a big gap, two parallel vertical lines like this. So this is a symbol of meter gauge. Okay. Now third we have narrow gauge. For narrow gauge, we'll take single black line which will be intersected by many single vertical lines like this. Narrow gauge, they are mostly found in the mountainous area. Like we can take the example of Shimla and Darjeeling, where toy trains run on such narrow gauge. Next we have a railway line with a station. For this we can draw any of the gauge. We can draw broad gauge, meter gauge or narrow gauge, and we'll show a railway station there. Suppose we are drawing a narrow gauge, so it will be single line which will be divided into many segments by the vertical lines like this. Now for showing a railway line, we'll use red color. Now first we'll draw a red square like this to show a building or the symbol for railway line, and here we'll write RS, means it is a railway station. So these were the means of transport. Children, now let us draw the symbols for rivers and drainage. First of all, we have perennial stream. A perennial stream is shown in blue color. We'll draw the symbol first like this. We can show one or more streams in blue color. So this is the symbol of perennial stream. A perennial stream is a stream that has water throughout the year, means it never dries up. Next we have seasonal stream. For seasonal stream, we'll take black color. A seasonal stream, the symbol will be drawn same as perennial stream, but here we will use black color. The meaning of seasonal stream is a stream that dry up in dry season. Such stream receive water from rainfall. The stream indicate that the area or the place receives seasonal rainfall. Next we'll draw the symbol for a river. For drawing a river, you will use either black color or blue color, because the river can be either seasonal or perennial. So here I am using black color indicating seasonal stream. So for a river, we'll take two parallel zigzag lines, means there will be curve in that line. So these two parallel lines indicate that it is a river which is larger than the streams. Next we will draw the symbol for a river with water channel. First of all, we'll draw the river in black color, same as we have drawn the river above. Now to show a water channel, we'll use blue color. So I will draw a blue line almost in the center of the river like this. So this blue line inside the river indicates that this river has water channel. Now next feature is river with islands and rocks. So first let us draw the river in the same way as we have drawn the last two symbols. Black curved parallel lines. So this is a river. Now in the river we need to show islands and rocks. You know that island is a piece of land surrounded by water from all sides. So for drawing islands, we'll draw black circles or ovals inside the river like this. So I am showing 1, 2 and 3 islands. So this river has 3 islands, and for showing rocks we'll draw small dots in the river. It will be smaller than the island. So these are the rocks in the river. So it is a river with island and rocks. Next we'll draw the symbol for disappearing stream. Now what do you mean by disappearing stream? It is a stream which is not able to reach the sea or ocean. It finishes in the land. Either it is absorbed by the sand, or due to high temperature, due to high rate of evaporation, the water dry up. So for drawing a disappearing stream, again we'll use black color. First we'll draw a seasonal stream like this. We can draw 2 streams. Then we'll show river like this in broken lines. It means that the river is not able to reach further. So this is a disappearing stream. Next we have the symbol of confluence. Confluence means meeting of 2 or more rivers, like river Ganga and Yamuna in India. They meet at Allahabad. So Allahabad is the confluence for Ganga and Yamuna. So first we'll draw a river. Suppose we are taking a big river, so I will draw the main river. And now we'll draw the second river. It can be a small stream like this. So this is the place of confluence. I am showing it here with a cut mark. So this is the confluence, okay, meeting of 2 rivers. Next we have the symbol of meander. Now what does a meander mean? A meander means that a river is flowing from a plain area and it is forming loops in its way. Means the river is flowing to and fro. So let us draw the symbol. We can take either blue color or black color for drawing a meander, depending on the nature of stream, whether it is seasonal or perennial. So I have drawn a perennial river here. So here you can see this is a meander formed by the river, because river is flowing to and fro, forming loops, or it is flowing in zigzag manner. So the meander is formed. Presence of meander indicates that the area is a plain area. So you can say that a meandering river moves like a snake or serpent in the plains. The best example of meandering river is river Ganga in West Bengal and Bangladesh, or even we can take river Jhelum in Jammu and Kashmir. Now let's draw the symbol for waterfalls. For a waterfall we need to show a mountainous area or hilly area. For that we will draw contours like this. Now you know contours are shown in brown color. So many contours will be drawn close to each other. See, I am leaving very less space between them. So they are tightly spaced to show the steep slope. So around 6-7 contours you can draw. Now you will show a river making a waterfall here. So you will show the river, if it is perennial, in blue color, or if it is seasonal, in black color. Now this river is moving from a mountain, and here a cut mark is drawn like this. So this is the point of waterfall, means from here the river is flowing from a great height. Sometimes the height of the waterfall is also written, like if I write here 12 m, it means that this waterfall is falling from a height of 12 meter. Next we'll draw the symbol for broken ground. Broken ground is formed along seasonal streams. So first we will draw seasonal streams like this. So you know that we will use black color. Then we will use big brackets in black color like this along the river parallel to each other. So inverted brackets are drawn like this on both sides of the streams. So this is a symbol of broken ground. Broken ground is actually formed along the stream due to erosion of soil caused by heavy flood. So broken ground indicates that this area is seasonal flood. Next we have river with sandy bed. Now we will draw a river in black. Here we will use black color because mostly sandy bed are found in the seasonal streams. Like Rajasthan has many seasonal streams and it has river bed which is sandy. So now we will fill this river with black dots, small dots. They will be smaller than rocks. So these are black dots inside the river. These dots indicates sandy bed, means the floor of the river is sandy. It will indicate that the river is flowing from a desert area or sandy area. Example, we can take the streams and rivers of Rajasthan, that is Thar Desert. Now we will discuss the drainage pattern. We have 4 drainage pattern. Let us discuss them with their symbols one by one. The first drainage pattern is dendritic pattern. So for dendritic pattern, first we will draw the streams. Here the streams join each other. If I join the rivers from here or streams from here, you can say that the streams are joining each other like the veins of a leaf. Okay? Next we have trellised drainage pattern or trellis drainage pattern. In this drainage pattern, the streams join the main river at 90 degree. So let us draw the symbol first. So this is the main river and it is joined by many seasonal streams or small streams at right angle. Or you can say that the streams are perpendicular to each other. Next we have radial drainage pattern. In a radial drainage pattern, the rivers flow outward from a mountain. It means that we have to show a mountain. For a mountain, we will draw contours first. The contours are drawn in brown color. So here we are drawing the contours depicting a mountain like this. Now from this mountain, the rivers will flow outward in 2 or more directions, or you can say in all directions also. So I am showing the rivers like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have taken 4 rivers. You can take more rivers also. So what is radial drainage pattern? A drainage pattern in which the streams flow outward from a mountain. The streams can be in blue color or in black color. Blue color will depict perennial stream and black color will depict seasonal stream. The last type of drainage pattern is disappearing drainage pattern. In a disappearing drainage pattern, the river or the stream is not able to reach the sea or ocean. It finishes inland. Either the water is absorbed by the sand, or due to high temperature the water gets evaporated and the river dry up. So the symbol for disappearing drainage pattern is like this. We'll draw stream in black color because here we'll show that seasonal stream. We can show 2 or more streams, then it will become broken. So here is the symbol. So children, here you can see that we have drawn the symbols of the 4 types of drainage pattern. They are dendritic drainage pattern, in which the streams join each other like the veins of a leaf. Trellis or trellised drainage pattern, in which the streams are parallel to each other and they join the main river at right angle. Radial drainage pattern, in which the rivers flow outward from a mountain. And disappearing stream or disappearing drainage pattern, in which the streams are not able to reach the sea or ocean. Now let us draw the symbols for means of irrigation and other water bodies. First of all, we will draw the symbol of a canal. A canal is a man-made stream which divert the water from the river to the fields for irrigation. It can be used for navigation by ships and boats also. A canal can be seasonal or perennial, so we can use either blue color or black color for the canal. So see the symbol for canal. First you will draw the main river, and from here we will take out the canal like this. So here you can see this is the main river and this is the narrow stretch of water in the form of canal. Next we have a tank. A tank is a depression filled with water. Mostly rainwater is collected in a tank to be used for irrigation and domestic purpose. Tank can be perennial or dry or seasonal. For perennial tank, we'll use blue color. We'll draw a circle which is irregular in shape and we'll fill that with blue color. You can use pencil color for shading like this. One more symbol can be used to draw a perennial tank, that is a square like this, and it is also filled with blue color. So these tanks never dry up. Next is dry tank. For a dry tank also we'll draw a circle which is irregular in shape like this. We'll fill this circle, or you can say oval, with small dots. So this is the symbol for a dry tank. We can also show a dry tank with a square filled with dots. For dry tank we have to use black color. Such tanks are filled with rainwater and are seasonal in nature. They dry up in dry season. Children, canals are mainly used in North India, that is Indo-Gangetic Plain, as means of irrigation because there are many perennial rivers in North India, whereas tank irrigation is prevalent in peninsular plateau of India. In India, 40% irrigation is done by canal and 20% is by tank. The other means of irrigation are wells and tube wells. First, we'll draw the symbol for wells. Different symbols are used to show different types of wells. First, we'll draw the symbol for perennial lined wells. For this, we'll use blue color. Perennial lined wells are shown with blue dots like this. You can see number of blue dots scattered in the topo sheet of Rajasthan like this. So these are the wells that contain water throughout the year, and they are lined means they are properly cemented, or you can say they have wall around them which are made of bricks and cement. These wells are very useful as they never dry up. So they can be used throughout the year. Unlined wells are shown with small blue circles like this. Unlined wells are kacha wells, means they are not cemented. They may dry up in dry season. Next, well with brackish water. A well with brackish water means a well that contains salty water. The symbol for the well is same as the perennial lined well, means they are shown in blue dots like this. In topo sheet, besides such well, the word brackish is written like this. The water of such wells are unfit for drinking or irrigation. Children, let me tell you that wells are bore of about 15 to 25 meter depth, which are dug out on the ground to obtain the groundwater for irrigation, drinking and other activities. Next we have tube well. A tube well is a deep bore of 25 meter or more from where the water is pumped out with the help of a motor, which is mostly run with the help of electricity or diesel. A tube well is shown in blue color. Two lines are drawn intersecting each other at right angle, means at 90 degree. So it resembles the symbol of a plus. Next we have dams. A dam is a wall built across a river to store the water of the river. Dams are mainly built to generate hydroelectricity and flood control. Let us first draw a masonry dam. A masonry dam is built with bricks, rocks, pebbles and cement. For masonry dam, we'll use red color. First we'll draw parallel lines. We'll use a scale and draw two lines parallel to each other. 1 and 2. Now we'll draw small triangles below these lines. Like this. So, this is a symbol for a masonry dam. Here we can take the example of Bhakra Nangal Dam, which is the highest gravity dam in the world, built on river Satluj. Next is earthen dam. An earthen dam is built of mud, clay and rocks. For earthen dam also the symbol is same, but we will change the color. We'll draw the same symbol in black color. Means we'll first draw two lines parallel to each other. One and two, and we'll draw small triangles below these two lines like this. So this is the symbol of earthen dam. Let me tell you that the largest earthen dam of the world is in Pakistan, named as Tarbela Dam, which is built on river Indus. Next we have a weir or a low dam. A weir or low dam, sometimes we call it as barrage also, is built on the lower course of river, where the river flow very slowly. A weir is built to regulate the flow of water, means to control the flood and for providing water for irrigation. The symbol for weir is same as the earthen dam or masonry dam, but here we will use blue color. Again we will draw two lines parallel to each other, and we'll draw small blue triangles below these two lines like this. So the symbols are easy for dams, only you have to learn the right colors. So this is the symbol for a low dam or weir. Next we have island. An island is a piece of land surrounded by water from all sides. So here we need to show a water body. A water body can be a pond, a lake, a sea or ocean. So this is the water body I have shown. Inside the water body, a white patch will be shown depicting the island. So this is the island, and we'll use black dots over the white patch. And we will fill blue color inside the water body like this. So this is the symbol for an island. Next we have a reservoir. A reservoir is a man-made artificial tank with embankment or wall to store water. Here first of all we will draw the man-made tank in blue color like this. We'll use 3 lines in blue color. We will fill this tank with blue color. So you will use pencil color for shading. Now you will use black color for showing the embankment. So this broken black lines depicts the wall or embankment around the tank. Now we will discuss heights and elevations. First, spot height. Spot height is the height of a place above the mean sea level. It is the actual height of the place. It is shown with a dot followed by a number like this. Here dot 370 means that the height of the place is 370 meters above the mean sea level. We can have any heights beside the dot showing the height of the place. Next is triangulated height. Triangulated height is the height of a point surveyed by triangulation method. It is indicated by a small triangle like this, followed by a number like 670. It means that the triangular height of the place is 670 meters above the mean sea level. Triangulated height is used to show the height of prominent places. So this is a symbol for triangulated height shown in black triangle. Next we have benchmark. Benchmark is a surveyor's mark. It is cut or written on a rock, stone, wall of a building, etc. It shows the height of that mark above the mean sea level. It is usually used to compare the height of surrounding places from a building. It is shown as BM and the height like 350. It means that the height of this place is 350 meters than the surrounding area. So we can use benchmark for showing the height of tall buildings or walls. Also, depression is often found in sandy areas at the top of sand dunes where the wind easily blows the sand away, leaving a hollow. So depressions are the hollow places in the deserts. So we'll use brown color. We'll draw an irregular circle in brown like this, and it is written as DEP. So this is the symbol for a depression. Next we have contours. Contours are the imaginary lines that join the places having equal height. Contours are shown in brown color like this. We'll draw irregular lines in brown color. So these are contour lines. We can see many contour lines in the topo sheet of Rajasthan where Aravali's are shown. form lines. Form lines are broken contour lines. They are drawn like this. They are drawn broken because they are drawn for those areas which are inaccessible for survey. Means we cannot reach in those areas for actual survey. So the cartographer, they make form lines assuming that the land beyond that point will be like this. Now we will draw the symbols for relative height and relative depth. First is the relative height of sand dune. Sand dune in desert are shown in brown dots like this, and beside these dots number is written in black color like 15R. It means that the relative height of the sand dune is 15 meter. It is not the height above the mean sea level. It is the height of the sand dune in relation to the surrounding area. Sand dunes are hills of sand. Next, relative height of dry tank. We will draw a dry tank in black color as we have drawn earlier. Irregular circle filled with black dots depicting a dry tank. Outside the tank, number 5 is written followed by R, means 5R. It indicates that the relative height of the dry tank is 5 meter. Next, relative height of embankment of dry tank. Embankment is a wall around the tank. So here first we will draw the dry tank. Irregular circle with black dots. Now we will show the embankment. Embankment is shown in broken black lines around the dry tank. The tanks which have embankment around them are man-made tank or artificial tank. Along the black broken lines, number is written like 3R. It means that the relative height of the embankment of the dry tank is 3 meter, or we can say the relative height of the dry tank with embankment is 3 meter. Next is relative depth of dry tank. Again we will draw the symbol of a dry tank with black dots. Now to show the depth, the relative height will be written inside like 4R. As 4R is written inside the tank, it means that it is the relative depth of the tank. Next is relative depth of perennial lined wells. For this, first we will draw the well in blue dot. Along the well, the depth of the well is written like 20R in blue or black. It means that the relative depth of the perennial lined well is 20 meter. Next, relative height of the bank of a river. For this, we will draw a river in black or blue depending on its nature, whether it is seasonal or perennial. Outside the river, on one of the bank of the river, number is written like 3R. Here it means that the relative height of the bank of the river is 3 meter. Here 3R means that the relative height of the bank of the river is 3 meter. Next we have relative depth of a river. For this also we need to show the river first. Again in black or blue double line, and inside it 4R or 5R or any number is written. This 4R inside the river indicates that the relative depth of the river is 4 meter. So in a topo sheet, the heights and depths are shown in all these way we have discussed. Next we will draw the symbols of natural vegetation. Natural vegetation consists of all trees, plants, shrubs that grow naturally without human interference. First of all, we'll draw the symbol for conifers. Coniferous trees are found in the mountains or in the polar regions. Conifers are shown in green color. The symbol is like this. We'll draw a line with a triangle top like this. Next we have deciduous trees. Deciduous trees are the trees that shed their leaves for 6 to 8 weeks in dry season. The symbol for deciduous trees will be in green color. We'll draw an oval with a vertical bottom like this. Presence of deciduous trees in an area indicates that that area receives rainfall between 100 centimeter to 200 centimeter. In India, the largest forests are tropical deciduous forest. Next we have Palmyra. Palmyra are a special type of palm trees which are found in deserts. They are found in abundance in the Thar desert of India. The symbol for Palmyra is two lines crossing each other with a vertical bottom like this in green color. Next, plantain. Plantain is a type of banana which is mostly in green color. It is larger, tougher and different in taste and flavor as compared to the ordinary banana. Its color vary from green, yellow to brown. The symbol is in green color. We'll draw the leaves like this and a vertical bottom. Broad top and vertical bottom. Presence of Palmyra and plantain indicates that the area receives seasonal and scanty rainfall. Next we have cervate trees. Cervate trees serve as the prominent survey point. They are shown in black color and the symbol is like this. So this is a symbol for cervate tree. Next, open scrub. Open scrub indicates desert or semi-desert condition. It shows that the area gets seasonal and scanty rainfall. For showing such vegetation on the map, the word open scrub is written in black, like this. Presence of open scrub indicates that the main occupation of people is sheep and goat rearing. Dense forests are found in the areas of good amount of rainfall. It may be indicated on hilly region, printed as fairly dense forest or mixed forest. In topo sheet, it is written as dense jungle. In such forest, large varieties of trees grow closely. In the topographical maps, the word dense jungle is printed on green color. Green color, as we have discussed earlier, is used to show forest. So, whenever we see green color in the topographical maps, we can say that these are forests. Open mixed jungle is printed on the map as open mixed jungle. It is a forest which has two or more varieties of trees which are widely scattered. Open mixed jungle is also printed on green color, which show the forest area. It shows that the area receives good amount of rainfall. Next we have open jungle. An open jungle indicates moderate rainfall. It is a forest where two or more varieties of trees are found. Again, they are scattered. The word open jungle is printed on the topographical maps in black color. We can see the word open jungle printed on green color in topo sheet. So, this is a symbol for open jungle. Protected forest. Protected forests are the forests planted by the government as shelter belts to prevent soil erosion in deserts. In the topo sheet, they are written as PF. The next symbol we'll draw is of reserved forest. A reserved forest is a forest under the state government. They are sometimes upgraded to national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. It is written as RF in the topographical maps. Now let us draw the symbol for a fire line. A fire line is a clearing made in the forest to prevent the spread of forest fires. In tropical region, forest fires are very common. For fire line, we'll use black color. We will draw broken parallel lines like this, and besides the broken lines, the word fire line is also printed on the maps. in black color like this. Next we have stony waste. Stony waste is the land which is mostly covered with rock, boulders and stones where cultivation is not possible. On the map it is printed as stony waste in black color like this, and black circles are used of different sizes to show the rocks and boulders. So it is stony waste. Now sheet rock. Sheet rock is a region which is mostly covered by a sheet of rock shown in white color. It is an area which is commonly found in the volcanic areas. Because of the lava spread, a layer of rocks are formed on the ground. Sheet rock is written as sheet rock on the maps in black color. The next feature we have rock outcrop. Rock outcrop is an area where the subsoil is exposed due to the erosion of topsoil by wind or water. Such areas are uncultivable and it is printed as rock outcrop on the maps like this. The next feature is sand dune. A sand dune is a sand feature or a hill of sand found in the deserts, formed by deposition of sand by wind. It is shown in brown dots like this. The dots are close to each other. So this is a symbol for sand dune. Presence of sand dune indicates that the area receives scanty rainfall or no rainfall. Stone quarry. It is an area from where the stones are mined. It is written on the map as stone quarry in black color. The presence of stone quarry indicates trade and mining as occupation of people. Brick kiln. Brick kiln is an area where bricks are baked or burnt. It also indicates trade as a major occupation of people. It is shown by black color. Two concentric circles are drawn beside the two circles. The word brick kiln is also written in black color like this. The last conventional symbol we are going to draw is lime kiln. Lime kiln is a place where limestone is converted into quicklime. Quicklime is used in iron steel industry, paper industry and pulp industry. The symbol for lime kiln is same as brick kiln, means we draw two concentric circles. Beside the circles, the word lime kiln is also printed like this. Lime kiln also indicates trade as occupation. With this, we complete all the conventional signs and symbols that are in your syllabus. You must read your book from page number 16 to page number 22. Revise all symbols, understand their meaning, draw them in the copy with proper colors. You must learn the application of all these symbols in the topographical maps. We will very soon meet in the next video with a new topic. Till then, take care. Thank you.